Ever feel like you're chasing two conflicting goals? Maybe you want to drop some fat, but also increase your strength. Or perhaps you're trying to lean out while building muscle. What if I told you that with the right approach, you don't always have to choose? In this episode, I'm pulling back the curtain on a recent conversation I had with Jazz, a powerlifter just 8 weeks out from competition. Jazz was facing a dilemma I see all the time: how to break through a scale weight barrier to get a mental win without compromising his performance. We're diving into setting realistic goals, prioritizing what really matters, and creating a plan that allows you to pursue seemingly conflicting objectives. You'll learn why sometimes there's a third option you haven't considered, and how the secret may lie in periodizing your nutrition. Whether you're a powerlifter like Jazz, a weekend warrior, or just someone trying to balance multiple fitness goals, this episode should give you the confidence to eliminate any frustration when you're being pulled in two different directions. Welcome to Wits and Weights, the podcast that blends evidence and engineering to help you build smart, efficient systems to achieve your dream physique. I'm your host, Philip Pape, and today we're diving into a topic that resonates with so many of us: how to navigate seemingly conflicting fitness goals. You'll be hearing a recording of one of my free 15-minute rapid nutrition assessments with a 300-pound powerlifter who's 8 weeks out from his very first competition, and he is torn between losing more weight to get under 300 pounds and maintaining his muscle and strength. He joined the call thinking that he had two options, and we uncovered a surprising third option. Whether you're trying to build muscle, lose fat, body recomp, prep for an event, or more than one of these at the same time, you'll learn a smart and efficient way to do it all. All right, Jazz, what is going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, Phil? It's nice to finally talk to you.
You as well. No,
like in person.
Yeah, in person, virtually in person. It's funny what we call in person these days, right? But yes, exactly. Even though you're a few hours down in Philly and I'm up here in Connecticut, maybe we'll meet someday.
Yeah, probably. I've been in Connecticut like once.
Yeah, cool. So just so the listener knows what we're doing here, this is a 15-minute rapid nutrition assessment, something I just started doing recently. And it's going to be fast-paced. And the goal here is to help you figure out what's one thing that you should prioritize, one thing holding you back, and then maybe a few steps that you can get results with in the short term. And I do know a little bit about what's going on with you, but I'm going to assume that I don't. And so my first big question for you is, why did you reach out to me? What are you trying to get done here with when it comes to your nutrition, your big goal right now?
So my big goal is maintaining strength. I'm about 8 weeks out from my first powerlifting competition. So I do want to shed some pounds. I did have a goal week, but I'm not necessarily going to hit that with the amount of time that I have. But I would like to come in a little lighter for this first meet just to give myself a goal. But I also want to, still hit some big lifts on the platform when I do go out there. So maintaining muscle and just losing some body fat before the competition.
Nice, man. Congratulations, by the way, on the courage to do that, of powerlifting meet at all. That's great. And I've been following you, and you're a strong guy. I mean, like when we get in some numbers here, people will see like you're a big, strong guy. So I could see that. You're 8 weeks out, but if you don't mind sharing, how much do you weigh and what weight class are you in?
So when I got on the scale recently, I was 301.6. So I float in between about 298 and 301 for the most part, like average weekly body weight.
And what's the weight class?
When I signed up, it was for 275. So that would be the weight class. Don't know if I'll get there, but I can always change it for my first meet. The first meet, I don't necessarily need a weight class.
That's good. And that's exactly what I was trying to get at here, right? Because people are listening like, okay, if they have a specific event, if they have, even if you have a wedding and you're trying to get down to a certain number, it's got to have realistic expectations. And also, what's important to you, right? Is it getting nice big numbers and feeling good and like getting through it and done? Or is it, trying to fine tune every little thing and get into the weight class, right? I'm guessing it's the former.
Yeah, I want to lose some weight, but I'm not really concerned about getting into the weight class. The first one is just to get the first one out the way. And then I can concentrate on weight class and it's like after that. But I still want to, continue on losing some weight.
Got it. Okay. So we're talking 25 pounds. Maybe you can get there 8 weeks. What does that come out to? 3 pounds a week, which your size is like exactly 1% a week. But that's if you did it every single week right up until the competition, which, as you know, may not be super helpful for getting the best performance possible. Yeah. Okay. So, because we can talk about things like, well, let me ask you, you got a tapering plan coming up for your training. You're working with a coach, right? For the
Yes.
training side? Okay.
Yes.
Have you thought about the nutrition beyond just what you've already been doing in terms of prep, the week leading up to it, and the meet day itself?
Not necessarily like that far out, just mainly the nutrition leading up to it. I know probably about 2 weeks out, I'm trying to sit at wherever I wind up. A week to 2 weeks out, just trying to hover there so I don't, do too much going into the competition.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm a big fan of like leading up to anything, even if it's an endurance race like a marathon. You want to keep things as stable as possible. Don't change what you're eating. Don't start any supplements. Don't add a whole bunch of fiber because that can mess with your digestive tract, all that stuff. At the same time, we also don't want to be like underfed and under energy in that period. So there's a shift that we could make, right? Where you could do a little carb loading, not too far ahead of the meet, like 3 days ahead of the meet. And the carb loading could be as simple as swapping out some protein for some more carbs. Doesn't have to be like, again, not like a runner who has to just, 10 grams per pound of carbs or whatever. So, all right. So what is your current, I'm getting ahead of myself here as usual, but what does your current nutrition look like? And what is it that you're trying to figure out that maybe isn't working or you're just not sure of going forward?
So currently is how much protein I'm eating. Like I use macro factor and it's like, hey, I picked high for the protein. So it's saying like 219 grams of protein, which is a lot of protein, even for a big guy like myself. So hitting that goal is kind of challenging for me. And my biggest thing is I like to snack. And then my work schedule is like 3 to 11 o'clock at night. So sometimes I'll come home and still be kind of hungry because I'm at work at that tail end of the day.
All right. So your protein's 220. If you feel like it's high, and that's about 0.7 grams per pound of body weight. People are listening, doing the math, they're familiar with the range. We say like 0.7 to 1 gram per pound, but we add some nuance to target body weight. But not only that, also it's based on lean mass. Originally, it's based on lean mass. And the bigger you are, it doesn't scale linearly, right? So do you have any idea, like your body composition roughly?
No, I wanted to get a DEXA scan, but I don't know any in my area. So
yeah, and it's not super important right now. It's just like if you had a rough number of, body fat to muscle, you can kind of say, okay, this is how much lean mass I have. Therefore, this is how much protein would be appropriate. But we forget about all that. We don't need to overcomplicate it. The 220, it's funny because any guy over 200 pounds, I'd be like, you want to eat 200 grams of protein at least, no matter who you are. So being 300, 220 doesn't sound super high to me, but from a practical perspective, you're saying that it's difficult to get that in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What does your meal timing look like right now? Like how many meals a day? Do they all have protein? What sources of protein?
I usually eat after I come from the gym. I'll eat like some carbs, like rice cakes before I go to the gym and just some Gatorade because I wake up like 8, 9 o'clock and I head straight to the gym pretty much. And then when I come home, I typically eat turkey bacon, some eggs, maybe a little cheese from time to time, but then that's usually like 12 to 1 o'clock. And then next time I'll eat will be at 4 o'clock, like an hour after my work shift.
And then
like 6
is dinner.
So yeah, it's like dinner.
So like 4 minutes, like a pre-post workout, mid-afternoon or late afternoon, and then dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you tried, or are you able to with your schedule adding in another snack?
A protein shake would be fun, but because I get home from the gym at like 12 o'clock, I eat and then I leave at 2 and I'm not really hungry. And then taking protein powder to work isn't like the most convenient thing for me. So I've done that before, but I don't have like my blender and stuff that I have at home, and instead of just shaking it out.
Before I started working with Philip, I had been trying to lose weight and was really struggling with consistency. But from the very beginning, Philip took the time to listen to me and understand my goals. He taught me the importance of fueling my body with the right foods to optimize my training in the gym, and I lost 20 pounds. More importantly, I gained self-confidence. What sets Philip apart is the personal connection. He supported and encouraged me every step of the way. So if you're looking for a coach who cares about your journey as much as you do, I highly recommend Philip Pape.
All right, cool. No, and again, we don't have to shoehorn it into like meal frequency. I just always ask that question because some people have an opportunity on the table to just get an extra meal in. Maybe it's maybe it's in the morning, maybe it's later at night, but not too close to bedtime. So you told me like your post-workout has turkey, bacon, eggs, cheese. How much fat are you getting in your diet?
Roughly about, looking at macro factor, it was probably about anywhere from 80 to 100 grams, roughly.
Is that what you're actually getting? Or that's your target?
That's what the target is.
Okay, what are you actually consuming based on your log?
Based on my log, probably about 80.
Oh, okay. So that's reasonable. All right. Because when I heard turkey, bacon, eggs, cheese, I'm thinking, okay, you have some room to maybe lean out some of the foods to get more protein and less fat. And then it's the same amount of food, you know? But it doesn't sound like too much of that's going on. Like when you have lunch, when you have dinner, are these, meats and vegetables and some starch for the most part? What do they look like?
Yeah. So the first meal is usually like some Angus stir-fry steak with rice. And then my last meal is usually just like a protein and a veggie.
Okay. Yeah. I love this stir-fry steak, man. Make me hungry.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
It's my go-to.
No, that's great. I love it. Okay. And the fat sounds reasonable. So when you say the protein's high at 220, are you actually hitting that number? And it's just like, feels like you're forcing it, or you're not hitting the number?
When I plug in my breakfast, my lunch, and what I'm going to eat for dinner, like the protein source, that's the first thing I plug in the macro factor. It'll have me at like 150. And I'm like, ugh, I still got 70 more to go. And I'll get the yogurts.
Like Greek yogurt?
The Oikos, yeah, which are like 15 grams. But I can't eat 4 of them a day.
It's funny. I have that same brand, the Oikos Zero, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you put it in a bowl and you're like, wow, I'm up to like 150 grams. I'm up to 200 grams. And that's only like 150 calories. It's pretty good protein dense source of food there. But yeah, you're right. It kind of fills you up. So you're saying you're not really hitting the 220, right?
No, I'm probably getting closer to about anywhere from 170 to 190.
Okay.
Some days I do get the protein, but it's few and far between.
All right. Did you say earlier you're getting hungry? Some hunger?
Yeah, towards the end of my work shift.
Okay.
I'll eat my last meal at about 6, 7 o'clock.
Yeah, because protein can definitely help with hunger, right? But before we get to that, do you have your goal macro factor currently set to lose at a certain rate? Or just
I think it's at like 2 pounds a week. Yeah, it's 2 pounds a week.
2 pounds a week. All right. So we know for a fact at that rate, you're not going to hit the 275 unless you plan to do some water manipulation. You don't plan on that, do you? Okay, good. You shouldn't do that. not at your level. In your 5th competition, maybe you look into that.
That's for another competition.
Yeah, exactly. So are you resigned to that of not hitting the weight class, or is part of this conversation like, hey, can I speed it up, go more aggressively, and hold on to my strength and muscle?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Like maybe speed it up a little bit, but my main thing is just I don't want to lose the strength going into the competition. A little strength is fine, but if I don't get to the weight class, I'm fine with that. Even my coach is like, we shouldn't really press for that right now. So
okay, and you're nowhere near to getting, what's the next weight class?
275 would be was the weight class I signed up for.
No, I mean up.
Oh, up 308.
Okay,
so,
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, where I'm coming at this, and you tell me if I'm wrong, it's like you've got your short-term goal and you've got your long-term goal. I imagine your long-term goal has some health goals in there and some, body composition goals. And we can talk about that, once you get to the 90 days past the competition up to the next year, that's a different thing. In the short term, if you're pretty much not going to make the weight class at this point, unless you go 1.2% a week straight on for the next 6 weeks, like a very aggressive cut, and you're going to just feel terrible. And then like your lifts are going to drop and all that. Why not just toss that out the window altogether right now? Right. And just maintain.
Okay.
Just maintain, like get off the cut altogether. Right. And maintain your weight since you're not close to the next weight class and at risk of that. You could keep those glycogen stores filled. Like you're going to up your carbs. You'll have more calories to work with, which will make it easier to hit your protein. Your lift should like keep going up, I would imagine. I mean, there's only upside to doing it that way. You're kind of in that spot where if you're not going to hit the lower weight class, why even do that trade-off?
Yeah. And I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
But sometimes we just need somebody else to confirm it for us.
Okay. And I should just ask you this. Why do you want to lose some weight before then?
It's just a goal. Like, if I didn't get the 275, like I said, I was already on that. But if I can get the 290 and sit there, I'm perfectly fine with that too.
Yeah, but let's dig in a little bit. Why is that the goal now, knowing that you have another goal in parallel of to smash your lifts on a powerlifting meet?
I've been over 300 pounds for a long time. So being under 300 pounds and competing in the powerlifting meet compared to where I started would be fantastic.
Okay. All right. I like it. I'm glad I asked. So that's cool. If you want to be like the guy who's, you kind of accomplish these two goals at the same time and you could be super proud of that, right? And shout to the world like, hey, I got under 300 and I competed and I got these massive numbers on my lifts. You're sitting right over 300. So why don't we make the goal like 295?
Okay.
Or 2, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like just the psychological break, right? Yeah. Like it's trade-offs. It's all trade-offs. You know that. There's a trade-off with everything. So
yeah.
If the goal is 295, you can do that in the next like 2 or 3 weeks. Easy, right? And at the rate you're already going, you should be there within a few weeks.
Yeah.
Right? Assuming you've been pretty consistent hitting the calories.
Yeah. So these last couple of weeks, I've just been kind of hovering at tracking so much, but just making sure I stayed around the 300-pound mark. So these last 8 weeks, I definitely want to start tracking so I can get to sub 300.
All right. Since you kind of know what your maintenance is, which is what calories right now?
I think like 3,500 roughly.
Okay. I could see that. Okay, 3,500 makes sense. Like what's your step count daily-ish?
12,000 steps.
Oh, so you get a lot of steps. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I walk around a lot at work.
That's great. That's really good. Everybody listening, that's awesome. Do what Jazz is doing here.
All right, and I have an office job, so I make myself walk around the shop and stuff like that.
Awesome. So 3,500 calories, you could then go into a 1,000 calorie deficit would get you, 1,000 calorie deficit would get you 2 pounds a week. So you could eat around 2,500 calories for a couple of weeks. This kind of feels right to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then get in there around 298, 297, and then kind of decide, okay, I can push to 295. I mean, what's going to happen is when you get back out of that cut, you're going to pop up a bit back because of the fluid. So you want to get a little extra buffer there. But then that leaves you a good 5-6 weeks to get back to maintenance and just stay there. Get filled up, hit the lifts and everything. The only other thing that comes to mind is, are you doing a test day before then, like a test or anything like that?
Not that I know of. I would have to check with my coach and see what he has planned, but he typically doesn't do that. He wants all your energy on the meet day.
I got it. If you were, I would say you could have an opportunity to do like a meat nutrition test day as well. Because, I mean, you don't have to overcomplicate it. Like, do what you normally do leading up to it. Up the carbs a few days ahead of time a bit. And then, do your pre-workout like you normally would, which is, it sounds like you do the rice cakes and the protein. You probably want a bigger meal a few hours before the meet, right? Versus what you normally do when going to the gym. And then take the rice cakes, take some fruit, take energy bars, Powerade, whatever you're kind of used to getting. Really simple carbs, right? Not complex carbs. You don't want too much fat, too much complex, or too much fiber like early on that day, right? This is a separate thing. We could talk about that offline, like later. And don't change too much. Like, don't start taking a new supplement or anything like that. That can throw you off. So here's the plan, right? Step 1, do a cut at 2 to 3 pounds a week for the next few weeks. Step 2, go back to maintenance, right? And then step 3, plan for like the meat nutrition to kind of fill up those glycogen stores. And then after that, we could talk about, okay, what is your long-term plan now to get jacked? Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to be big and strong, but just in a smaller package.
You know, it's going to work really well for you, man, because you are a big guy with a ton of muscle who's super strong. So I bet there's a lot under there to like really reveal, which would be cool.
I know. I'm just trying to reveal it.
Yeah. We're skinny guys like me. We never quite pushed it that hard to get up there. So it's like this up and down type of thing. So what do you think?
That sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it sounds good. And focusing in after the competition is definitely going to be the best thing for me, because I don't plan on competing for a good while after that. So I'll have all of the winter and, to focus on getting down to the next body weight goal.
For sure, man. And you know how to reach me for that. We definitely should talk and map it out for you, because I think you could achieve some great things, man, for sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, there you go. I know we went a little longer than 15 minutes, but I hope you get through the mental roadblock of torn between two different goals, right?
Yes, definitely. Like I said, sometimes I had it in the back of my head, like maybe you should just change the goal to something like 290 or something like that. But sometimes we need somebody else to tell us, hey, you should do this. And you're like, oh, I was thinking that. So
exactly. And I would just think of it as like one quick goal, you get done. Now you're back to your main goal and you get that done and you're good.
After seeing what you did with Jeremy and how he did it in phases.
Oh yeah, Jerry Bonanno. Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry. I said Jeremy. Jerry. Sorry.
I've done that to him too. Yeah. Sorry, Jerry.
Sorry, Jerry. But yeah, I've done that. And I'm like, oh, I can do this, do the competition, still hit my goal on some of the lifts that I want to hit, and then focus on the next phase after that.
Awesome, man. Well, get it done and reach out to me if you have any questions along the way. Like I said, this is just, I love to help people and see how it kind of changes your perspective. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Jazz, which was a recording of a 15-minute rapid nutrition assessment. These are free calls that I give all the time. I always have a few spots every week in my calendar. And I encourage you, if you are looking for a little bit of assistance to uncover the one thing that is holding you back and come up with a quick 3-step action plan to get results in the next 90 days, go ahead and use the link in my show notes to schedule that with me. I won't bite. As you could tell from today's call, I just ask you some questions. We figure it out together and I give you some actions. I don't sell anything. I don't even mention my coaching. And you leave with a little bit of clarity, actually a lot of clarity, and some next steps to take. And then from that, we can always go further and talk about specific resources and actions you can take to put those to the next level. So if you want to schedule that free 15-minute rapid nutrition assessment, use the link in my show notes or go to witsandweights.com, click the big button in the top right, and I will talk to you next time here on the Wits and Weights podcast.